And
Yeah.
certain friends of mine have taken to using the Gmail.
Yeah. Well,
And
yeah, I'm always confused about what one to use. So yeah.
when at first I didn't realize they were using, I thought, why am I not getting emails from them anymore? And of course, they're thinking, boy, what did he fall off the earth?
Yeah, right. So Ani, have you unmuted, turned on your Zoom so we can see you?
Get this out of my way. What is the cryosphere? Is that the ice, the territory of ice on the planet?
I guess so. I don't actually honestly know the answer to that. I am so frustrated by that article. It's going to show up in a newsletter, which I'm going to send out shortly. Out of 1,200 words, only 50 are really germane to the situation we're in. And I know it's like we're blinded by all the other stuff that's happening. Oh, yes, we're going to have high rising water. You know how little impact, biologically speaking, that is? People can move from the coast. That's an easy solution to move. Not a big deal. Inconvenient, yes. Cost money, yes. But it's not a big deal. But heat is a big deal. You can't get away from that. There is no way to get away
Right.
from that. And that's what we need to pay attention to. And nobody is. They're going, oh my God, it's warm, so we got to stop warming. Yeah, that's helpful. If you're hot, you don't want to put another blanket on. That's true. But you really want to be cold, is what you really want. And that's a whole different strategy. I mean, we're just so caught in this. Oh my God, and then biodiversity, people just throw up their hands. What do you do about that? We can't create more folks, I mean, my God. Well, no, but we can certainly preserve and make it easy for the earth to create more folks. We can do that. I mean, there are things we can do, but we're looking in the wrong place. And so we are just befuddled because we can't do anything about all the stuff we're looking at because we're looking in the wrong place. It's like looking in the mirror and going, I want to do something with that. And you can't because it's all behind you. I mean, it's exactly what we're doing. We get so frustrated, and people who should know better don't seem to. So we've got this big long article about melting ice. Yes, melting ice is horrible, but it's horrible not because we're going to get more water. That is not the issue. The issue is without ice, it's not getting colder. It is going to change all of the mechanisms that keep us cool. That's the issue, not the water, not the water. 50 words out of 1,200. Just sort of mentioned, well, it could do this. And that's it. That's all they say.
Are you in a position with people who are actively addressing this?
Oh, no, not at all. But that's what my class in September is about, is talking about this and getting people to begin to see it. And I sent them a note. Robert's referring to an article that I posted this morning on the Arctic ice. And out of 1,200 words, only 50 words addressed the warming issue at all. And just cursory, well, it could do this. And then on to, oh my God, we're going to have more water, and isn't it horrible, and all of that. And that's just, that's a smokescreen. It has nothing to do with anything. It's like greenhouse gases. That whole conversation is crazy. The biggest greenhouse gas is water vapor. It's not carbon. Carbon impacts maybe 5% of stuff. Water impacts everything. We're not looking at water at all, except maybe to use less. But we're not understanding how we can impact the water we have. We have to keep the water we get. That's the key. The absolute key to everything. If we focus on that, then we'll change the entire climate where we are. We make it way more possible to continue living there. We make it way more cooler. All of those things happen. We increase biodiversity. All of that happens if we manage the water where we are. And worrying about greenhouse gases, as in carbon, does zilch.
What do you
No.
need? What do you need to become part of to share this information, to make a
Oh.
difference?
I don't know. All I can do is talk to everybody I'm talking to.
Well, what opportunities do you have, or do you need to create?
Yeah, well, if I did more writing, that would probably help. But I mean, that's the whole purpose of Soil Smart, is to address that issue and to use the bionic pump as a way to get people to see and understand that. And the Sponge City approach is just that, because if the city soils hold water, then all the rest of that will happen just magically.
Yeah.
But we have to keep the water in the ground. That's the important thing. Water in the air does not do us any good. It only does us good when it's in the ground. So it has to come down and stay. If it just floats up there, then we have the crazy weather that we have. That's where floods and all that come from, because it's all up there. And the energy that it takes to come down is like up there, and it needs to do something. And so it's ferocious. When it gets changed into coming down, the energy that it takes to bring it down dissipates all that energy. So it's much gentler, it's much softer, it's not so horrendous. So we don't get those crazy things because it's coming down the way it should. When it comes down, because it has to, because it's too heavy to stay up there, it's ferocious, it's uncontrollable, it's really difficult. But when it's coming down in partnership with plants, as part of that cycle, it's a whole different thing. And when it can stay, which is what it wants to do, then we're using all that energy to keep all those times water changes form. It releases heat or it creates heat. It's one or the other. And when it creates heat, that heat goes up and gets dissipated, which is what we want to have happen. That's how it balances. But it's water changing form that makes the difference. So it has to keep in that cycle. Once it's up and it's not coming down, we're losing all that heat transferent energy that is cooling for the planet. I mean, it's just, it's all physics. It's all pretty simple, but it's
We
just,
obviously understand it
Yeah.
from a technical point of view because we've created heat pumps.
yeah. Yeah,
And
this is not rocket science. When I go through it
they've
with people,
explored the technicals behind that,
yeah, yeah.
ad infinitum. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
nobody's willing to look at the Earth as
Yes, yes, yes.
an entire integrated whole and
Yeah,
see
we're
it
just-
as one big system. I mean, broken into myriad parts, but it's one great system.
Yeah. And when you get the system, then you can see what we can do about it. I mean, it's just,
Well, what do you see as the next step toward this solution that you're expressing?
well, I mean, again, I have to go back to Soil Smart because that's what it is. It's the next step that I could see.
Yeah.
I mean, getting it at a citywide level would have a big enough impact to really change the local climate.
Yeah.
And if you change the local climate, then that kind of impacts everything else. So that's why the city it's a small enough thing, but it's a big enough thing at the same time to really have an impact. But there are lots of ways to address it without actually people understanding that. So the Miyawaki forest is one. Getting people to plant Miyawaki forest puts the pump part back into the system and it improves the soil at the same time. So, and it brings back biodiversity. So it's the biggest bang for the buck, actually.
Miyawaki?
Yeah.
How do you spell it?
Miyawaki.
Miyawaki.
And
Yeah. It's a method of planting forest. So and there's a book called Mini Forest Revolution by Hannah Lewis.
well, what's the name again, please?
The Mini Forest Revolution by
Uh-huh.
Hannah Lewis. And she's wonderful. It's really an easy read and it's step by step. So if you want to do a forest, you can just take the book and it'll tell you how. And it's a group project. The hard part is knowing what to plant, because you have to plant original plants. So you have to go way back before we had built on the land to see what used to be there. And you plant everything in the forest at the same time, like the forest. So the forest doesn't have things 4 feet apart from each other. It has everything crowded together. So everything is planted really tightly. I mean, you might have 14 plants in a square yard. So it's really intense planting. And before you plant, you have to rejuvenate the soil. So you have to refresh the soil and make it alive. So that you like dig down like 3 feet and do all the mixing and compost and do all that kind of stuff. Then you plant everything in a day and you tend it for about 3 years, which means it may need some water. It usually doesn't seem to need much else because it's planted so densely that it's really hard for other things to get in there. That's part of the plan. But you may have to manage that some. But after 3 years, it's self-sustaining.
Are you part of an agency that is engaged in this?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Well, that's what Soil Smart does. We facilitate that, and I hope we're in the process of trying to create a demo project here. So I've got 2 agencies, and we're working on the school district because we're going to plant it in a school.
That's wonderful.
So if we can get the school on board, that's going to be the next big hurdle to make that happen. But other school districts and other cities have done it, so it's not that unusual, and we have all those resources. So we're trying to get to the principal, and then we would get to the district. And there's a company in Seattle, that's their business, is doing Miyawaki Forest, so they can come in and do it in a week. So they'll do all the research on plants and do all that. And then we have people here, the Lands Council and the Conservation District, both of which would love to be part of it. And they both have plants. So if they're the right plants, we will see about that. But they're offering plants and they're offering people to help do it. So we've got a lot of the pieces. We just have the district to say yes. And then we'll be able to do it either by the end of the year or early spring.
You know, it's very interesting. I just Googled Miyawaki Forest and have this article. And it looks like a very long article with lots of photographs. And it starts, Miyawaki forests are a global sensation, comma, but not everybody sold on them. Isn't that a double-edged sword right there?
Oh, they love it. Well, that's what sells, that's what gets you interested enough to read the article. Yeah.
But not everyone sold on it. I don't, because I haven't read the article in this moment,
Right.
but
Right. Yeah.
how much time did they spend talking about that, or how much time do they actually just spend on presenting the concept?
Right. And the benefits of the concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of help or support do you need to advance this initiative?
Well, I am trying to talk to the principal. I'm trying to talk to the guy across the street who knows the principal so that he can put in a good word for us and get him to support us. And in order to get to him, because he's been too busy to talk with me, a friend of mine just got hired on. So she's going to try and get him to sit down with me. And then I'm going to have him talk to the principal because they already know each other. because the principal's too busy to talk with me too.
I'm struggling to craft my words in a way that will convey to you how I may be able to help you if you give me certain focuses and understanding to energetically address, because I will energetically address your forward movement.
I don't know how to answer that, Ani, because the things I need are all stupid stuff, like helping with the newsletter and helping with the Coming Home Project, that kind of technical stuff that takes a lot of time, and that, you know, so I spend a lot of time doing that. Marketing the classes, it's just technical stuff. It's just, once you understand it, it's just putting pieces in place, you know, so that it goes along the way it's supposed to go along. But that takes time. It takes me, you know, a day or 2 days to do that. That's the kind of stuff that helps me, but it's not where you want to play either. So I don't know how to answer the question.
I'd be happy to play with the newsletter with you.
Okay, I mean, it's easy to do, actually.
Yeah,
It just
I've
takes,
had newsletters before.
well, yeah, I'm using a program that does it. I mean, have you gotten the newsletter so you know what it looks like?
No,
See, I
haven't.
think if it's going to your Gmail account, then there's stuff there that you're not seeing.
I never go to, I don't even know how to go to Gmail.
Well, but that's the address you use to get into the Coming Home Project. So that's where stuff is going. That's what I'm telling you. You set that up, so that's how it works.
I don't know how to go into my Gmail account with whoever, with whatever.
Well, I can help you with that, but that's where you put it, so that's where it's going.
I want to be helpful.
Well, yeah, and yeah, so I mean, if you don't want it to go there, you can change your address, but you have to do that while you're in the account. I can't do that for you. So you'd go to profile and change your address and put it in the GoDaddy account if that's where you want it to go.
Yeah, I don't have it. I didn't, I don't get it yet. I
Yeah.
don't, um, I don't get the whole GoDaddy Gmail.
Well, I mean, they're both addresses, you know, just like your house. That's all. They're just addresses, just like your house address. And when you go to an application like the Coming Home Project, it says, where's your address? Where do you live? Where can we send information? And you tell them. And that's where they're going to send information. So if you told them the Gmail address, that's where it goes. Now you can change that, but you have, I mean, this is where you have to remember what you did.
Right now, I don't even have an email box. My GoDaddy account.
Yeah. And I can't speak to GoDaddy because I don't know, but
Can you go through your records and find out the address, the Gmail account that Ani used?
actually they don't let me see your email addresses
Oh.
at this level. If I was a business account or even a class account, I think they've inserted one between business, which is where we started, and then we devolved back to community, and the community is, they're not really paying much attention to the community. There's so many things we can't do. So, and getting your email addresses is one of the privileges that I am no longer allowed to have. So I cannot see them. I can send stuff to you, but I cannot see what those are. Yeah.
Well, I know what my Gmail address is and my GoDaddy address is. I just don't know how to manage the.
So they're two different applications. They're
Right.
different houses, right? Because they
Right.
have different addresses of different houses. So I can help you get into your Gmail address. I mean, I can show you how to go there, I think. But you do have to go there to see all the stuff that's been sent there. Because that's the only way you can see it. All those packages and letters are in that, at that house.
Well, maybe we can set a time to do that.
Sure, sure,
It's
sure.
convenient for you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna be out of pocket. I get my hip done on Monday.
Oh, right, okay,
So I'll be in the hospital for a couple of days and then I'll be back.
yeah.
So what time do you start on Monday?
11 o'clock, they say. I don't know when the operation is, but I have to be there at 11 and it's probably 2 hours after that.
And what are they actually doing?
Well, what he says he's doing, and we'll know when he gets in there. But he feels, so there's a ball in your hip and a socket that it goes into.
Right,
And the socket has a plastic lining, which he thinks is fine. And the ball is what he thinks is going to be replaced. So they'll just take that out and put a new one in and clean up the socket and everything should be fine.
Yep.
But if he goes in and finds that there's deterioration along the long part of the ball that actually goes down your thigh, then that's a bigger operation because he may have to take out the old stuff and put in new stuff, and that would be a bigger deal. He could find that there's rips or tears or something in the plastic and that needs to be replaced. So he may have to do that. So we'll see when he gets in there how that all works. If it's not really bad, it should be, you know, like a half-hour operation and I'm done and everything will be fine. We'll see. Yeah, because it's not right now. And it's really not right. Even though it's back in the socket where it ought to be, it's still not right. So I don't know what that is. And we have talked with the doctor and he understands my concerns and he doesn't buy it at all because he's not thinking about hips and legs. He's thinking about sockets. He's a nuts and bolts guy. And so that's his only concern. And he won't know anything till he sees it. And he doesn't understand necessarily the bodily implications of any of his changes. That's just not part of what he does. So he did say, well, the other thing I learned is that I've lost 5 inches.
of height.
Yes. So I'm now 4'11". I used to be 5'4".
Wow,
Wow, that's extreme.
Yeah. And a lot of that was just recently because yeah. So and that's got to have an impact on your spine and your hips and all that kind of stuff. That has to have some sort of consequence.
Definitely.
So how that impacts the tilt of my pelvis would be part of what I'm experiencing. If my pelvis is twisted or canted one way or the other to manage the difference in height, then it's going to put different strains on different parts of my body. So, and that's not his thing. He doesn't get into that at all. He would smile and nod and say yes, but it's not his deal. So yeah, so I just have to go through this and then we'll see what comes out at the other end. What that looks like. So
all
yeah,
right,
because
so Monday's the operation.
yeah, yep. Woo-hoo.
And will you be off your feet for a while?
Oh no, I'll be up Monday evening probably.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, the whole point with the operation is very efficient at this point. And their whole point is, in fact, they prefer not to keep you at all, but
Yeah.
they have to keep you until you can get up a set of stairs.
Yeah,
It's
and
basically standard.
yeah, if it's your first time, you can expect to go home the same day.
Wow, good.
Yeah, but since this is not my first time, they will keep me for a day or so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Possibly also because you're getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm prone to falls and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see.
Wow. I think I'm noticing, I'm not as sharp as I used to be. I don't have the capacity I seem to used to have of context and managing and
Yeah,
things, and I don't know what that's called, but it's distressing. It's a little distressing.
yeah, yep.
Okay. Is that just aging?
No,
Yeah.
it's a very complicated thing. I've been assisting a chiropractor friend of mine as he has crafted a course called Conscious Healthy Aging. And it's about keeping your orientation straight. I mean, don't let yourself fall into the old mentality. There's so many
Yeah.
standard phrases used to describe what's happening to us that just don't need to be true.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
I
And so
understand
a
that.
lot of the course is on, looking at that and how to what to do with stress, how to maintain, the best diet. And it's been a good course. We've had a large number of people joining. I mean, not multitudes, but a good 12 to 15 at each session. So, but what I'm encountering and starting to introduce to Steve, he's younger than I am. He's about 11 years younger, is the idea that, yeah, you can, it's not a question of denying, but there are definitely things that happen as you get older, starting at certain ages, and you can't deny it because it won't let you. The health issues are mainly what I'm talking about. And but it's not just even health, but it's slowing down. Our minds slow down. Doesn't mean we can't think as crisply and precisely, but it takes longer. And oftentimes under pressure, we're not as at ease, to
Right.
come forth with because our full thought needs to complete. That's a very common thing. And if you constantly deny it and try to act like a 40-year-old, you're going to be disappointed. It's not going to work.
Is there a book that guides you into the right thinking as we age to help us to support ourselves?
There are some books out there. I haven't done the research. Steve has been, but specifically, no, I don't know of one that says what, that deals with, well, okay, so you found out you have cancer. You're not going to die tomorrow. What adjustments do you make? Nobody's written.
I'm just looking for plain how to think. How
And that's another one that's a very important one to tackle, because you're perfectly, I mean, you sound like you're maybe not perfectly healthy, but you're healthy.
yeah.
And you spunk and you're ready to go, but your body just doesn't work the same anymore.
But it's still good.
Oh, it's still good. It's still great.
I think my body is more resilient than my mind. I'm beginning to wonder because it's not hard for me to do physical stuff. I mean, I can't pick up what I used to be able to, but I'm wondering how sharp I am. Like even in the conversations that we've had, today, I'm just wondering how.
Yeah, well, part of this is the slowness. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why
And the feeling awkward. Because
Yeah.
when you notice that you're feeling awkward, there's such a tendency to say, I'm just not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
And,
Whereas,
you know,
whereas I'm finding
Yep.
more and more people who are looking at me at my age and what I, project in terms of, there's truly a power of having aged well. And
Yes,
what I'm beginning to trust is that they are, even a 30-year-old is perfectly willing to give me that extra beat, that extra 15 seconds. Now, my wife sometimes doesn't. That's emotional stuff tied in between two people, which is much more complicated. But in general, it's very clear that, I've had guys sort of take me and sort of guide me down some, and it's like 2 years ago, it was like, what? I'm perfect. And I'm beginning to accept that with,
Yeah.
the grace of, of this gesture.
Yeah.
And beginning to realize that it might be valuable in a certain instance and it might save my neck. So there's a transition to be made, and it's at different ages.
Yeah.
I mean, for people, it's coming at different ages. Now, the mental part, that's definitely true. And it's there. It's not necessarily dementia or first stages of dementia. It's something that happens in people's bodies.
Well, and learning to
down.
accept that and work with it instead of resisting it and denying it, I think is part of the key. That just, I mean, I find it, like I'm not putting myself in places where I'm being demanded of things that I would be uncomfortable or feel like I'm not going to be able to perform in the way I used to. So I don't put myself in those situations. But I work around it in different ways. I control it more so that I have more control about the time. Maybe I write it down instead of being extemporaneous. Details have always eluded me, and they're certainly not gotten better. So if I worry about not having details, then I'm going to have to write them down so I can look at them while I'm in process, because I won't be able to bring them up in my brain. So that's the kind of workaround I'm talking about. And then putting myself in a place where I have them available while I'm talking instead of being caught and having to remember them because I can't. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like an idiot, it's like, oh, well, there's this book that I know is perfect. And I can't remember the name of the author. And you feel like a fool. So I'm trying not to put myself in those places. And if I need that information, I want to have it where I can see it and it looks all right.
Well, I did that this past winter. I signed up for a course on moderation, to become a moderator. And I learned, and I really loved it. Now, the problem is most of the others were younger. I mean, one or two weren't, but some of them were in their 30s. And I had to moderate a two-hour process. So I did it a couple of times, and I think I did well. Well, I mean, I was told I did well, but I was exhausted, absolutely exhausted when I was done, because I could not control. I mean, I could control the flow to some extent by asking questions of some of the respondents, or they would say something and I would say, hold it, and I would then so I actually was in control, and people were responsive to that. And yet it was totally exhausting.
Yeah.
And finally realized I can't do it at my age.
Yeah.
And so that's realism. That's not giving in. And so that's an important part of this transition, is to note for yourself what that balance edge is between realism and just be.
Yeah, the spirit's willing, but the
Not
rest
needing
of
to
you is
be
not so sure.
right, and to know the difference.
Good way to put it.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I've really, really been conscious of. I mean, I was so hesitant about starting the new company for just that reason. Because I mean, that's what I do. Sure, I can start a which I did, I mean, it's just not that big a deal. I put up a website in a couple of days and people, all of that. But there's so much more to it. And I'm not sure where my energy is in all of those kinds of things. So I have this real caution about what I'm getting into and what I'm committing to, and so that I can actually make it happen, not just be up here in all the possibilities, which I can also see and would normally just jump into. But I'm not going there. I've got to have somebody else do that if that's going to happen.
Yeah, well, that's what I see as the take home, the real take home from this conversation, which is to realize what a gift it is that I found Steve found me, and he definitely needed my help, and I can provide a depth of vision that he just doesn't have. And he has the skills, but mainly the energy to
Yeah.
put together these classes, and he really works hard at it. So we find ourselves and become a mentor, find ourselves a mentee, and someone who is really excited about doing it.
Oh, you're talking about a project.
No, any project to have buy-in from younger people who from the very beginning, your intent is that it's going to be theirs,
Right.
that they're going to run it, and they
Yeah.
will show you the grace of accepting your wisdom for a certain amount of time, and
And then
they will need it less and less, but that's fine.
Yeah. So, yep.
Nice.
So that transition is what I'm thinking of when I think of, not just healthy aging, but truly growing older. And you realize that, it's time to not be the initiator, but
Yeah.
man, we have a lot to share with people.
Yeah. Exactly right.
So the question then becomes not how do I, gird my loins, to take on another, campaign, but how do I get to know some 30 somethings and 40 somethings, who are in this? How do I reach them? And then how, like I'm doing that now with this young man who is a singer, a writer and singer of children's songs, and he performs at schools and so forth. And I know that there's a lot that I can offer him. So I need to first find out what his music is like and experience the thing. But it's all about expression, and in his case, it's called Shine Your Diamond.
Ah.
Oh, nice.
Which is actually very close to the tilling of our soil, as opposed to the soil of the city.
Yeah.
Very similar, though. I mean, that these are young children, and the diamonds are still in the rough and can be guided a little bit. Anyway, so that's only just beginning, and I'm looking forward to working with that. And interestingly, there's a man who works for AT&T and is one of these genius, administrators.
Yeah.
He was the one who put us together.
Ah.
Because he's too busy which is interesting in itself. But you see my point, that it's a whole other way of looking at it. Just where can I find a truly listening ear to hear what I have to offer?
Yeah.
And each of the three of us in our own way have a lot to offer.
Yep.
And so, finding the right position to do that, it can have incredible effect.
Yeah, I haven't found that yet. I tried with a garden and they shut that down and
Right.
haven't had anything.
Well,
And you talked about a podcast with your poetry.
yeah. I mean, it isn't common.
People.
That's the thing. It isn't common in this country right now. And yet it could be, and within certain circles, it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how can working with my poetry be of help to other people? I mean, what I
Well,
can't.
that's, isn't that the
Right,
point of
right.
writing poetry, is to be of help to other people?
You write beautifully because
You do.
it just exposes your soul. I mean, that's what a lot of people want to learn, or I guess maybe you don't learn it.
It puts
Wanna
them
be-
in touch with their own soul when they're in touch with yours. I mean, you give permission for them to be in that space. I mean, that's why we read poetry.
What are you going on here with what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, that's why we read poetry, is because it really connects us to ourselves in a different way. But we have to read it to have that experience. So you have to make that available. You have to help people make that connection with the work you've done. And I mean, a podcast gives you a chance to read it. It's pretty easy. You can do it. You don't even need any equipment really. You can just do that and see what happens. You can do a blog, just put it out there and people can read it and respond. Those are both pretty simple ways to share and just see what happens.
Yeah, and a number of I forget the terms they use for it, but the ones that go viral, the podcasts that go viral, a number of them are older people of our age, or maybe not quite as old. I mean, they aren't all young people.
Yeah.
And it's just a matter of doing it in a way that people can easily catch hold of. And
want need to do that. I mean, I have so
you
much.
could. I mean, I see you doing it so well.
It's true. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I'll try cultivating that passion for writing and
Well, the hard part for you right now would be learning some of the technical stuff, because that's new and
right.
it would feel complicated. And that's a stop. That's where you can say, I don't want to do this anymore, or I'm not interested in that. That's the way to not do that. But you have to push through that to gain the comfort and the familiarity that makes it not really important. But you have to be willing to do that. And then the rest of it's a breeze. You've already done the writing. You already have that. That's not difficult at all. It's the small tech things right now are the things that you have to surmount to be comfortable enough to do what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, I could hire somebody to help with that.
Yes, you could.
I mean, I've got some cash that's just sitting in my closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There goes that trip to Cancun. I mean,
Or the local casino.
no, it would be money much better spent.
Yeah.
Yeah, well spent.
Thank you. Yeah, because I got energy in my body that wants to express itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm grateful that I have so much energy at 83 and so much passion still.
Yes.
Difference. Somebody for somebody.
Yeah. So you just need help getting with that technical piece, getting it out.
Yeah. Okay, well, if you hear of anything that, to pass on to me, please do, and I'll be investigating.
Yeah. I mean, start asking people for help doing a podcast or help setting up a blog, and you'll find somebody who would love to do that. Go to go to the library and ask. Say, I mean, here they will set you up. They have actual rooms for podcasts and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
At
Yeah,
the
you can actually go, you can actually put aside time to use that. They have people who will help edit and do all sorts of things.
at the
Way
library,
beyond- Yeah, at the library.
I
And it's
can get
off.
the library on the bus.
Yep. I mean, it's not cheap to set up your own studio.
But you
My-
don't need a studio.
No, you don't need it, but because my friend did that because he had this brainstorm to do podcasts about the construction, the design and construction industry. So he wired his entire office with mics and
Right.
video cameras. And that's one way to do it. It doesn't have to be that complicated at all.
No. And I mean, the library here has all that stuff that you can rent, and you can get people to help you do it. You don't have to do it yourself. There,
It's
and you
really-
can actually set up time to go in and work with them. So I don't know, I would think Santa Barbara offers that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, I bet even Atlanta does.
Yeah. Oh, libraries are just amazing now. They're doing all
I mean,
sorts of
also
things.
they've been scurrying around with into different ideas because they want to remain relevant.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Have these great facilities and you want to be relevant. I mean, books are less and less part of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're
Or they're being used in a different way. Yeah.
going to
And,
be used.
and mine is autopoetic poetry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it would be wonderful. I think they would be real excited to help you make that happen.
Yeah, right. Because it's about life.
Yeah.
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 It's sort of the baseline of all of this is you've got to talk it up. Initially, you've got to be motivated in yourself and talking it up with people. And I mean, even on the bus, you might meet somebody. You just don't know.
Right.
Life has a way of bringing us connections
That's
from
right.
weirdest places, and yet they're the perfect thing.
Yep.
I love writing poetry. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Or
So
I
you just
love
need
it.
a place to share it.
Yeah.
Well, let that idea germinate and
Right.
develop. I mean, I would like to introduce you to a friend of mine, Lisa Singh, who is about my age, so she's younger than you are. And she loves to write poetry.
Well, how do you spell her last name?
Singh.
H. Seems like I've heard her name before.
Well, she's a good friend of Virginia,
Swain.
Swain. I forget whether you say Swain or
Swan. Yeah.
no,
Swain.
her married name,
Oh,
which I'm forgetting right at the moment. But anyway, yeah, Lisa is she can write a poem in a few minutes, and she comes up with a germ of an idea, and then some of them, if she feels it's worthwhile, she will really work on to finesse, to really bring, I mean, but just the way she has that way of thinking to encapsulate an event, a person, it's just amazing to me. And you seem to have that too, but I've only heard a few of your pieces.
I love to read my poetry out loud.
Yeah, is the part of yourself.
yep.
The thing is that's why people love to do it. I mean, it was, I went to, visit a friend of mine in New Brunswick, New Jersey. And he was a man who, he was a preacher and a man who had a lot of inroads in the young community, you know, the Black community, where people were sharing, you know, I forget what they call it, sort of hip hop lyrics. And the power of this was, so some of the kids sort of cornered me and they say, okay, you know, because I was much older than they were, old man, I forget what they called me. Why don't you share a poem? So, you know, I knew that we were going to do this. So I pulled out a poem, totally different, but it had real feeling for this man that I knew who was dying. And it just fit right in. I mean, you know, it wasn't the hip hop by any means, but it fit right in. Everyone, they weren't just being polite. And it's just a universal language.
Well, and that makes me think of, I'll bet you there are places in Santa Barbara to do poetry readings.
Yeah.
We have them here in Spokane. You can just go down and read your poetry. They're in the evening. That's a little harder.
Yeah,
But
I don't want to do the bus at night, but I might be able to get somebody.
Excuse me, Ani, but I do need to go.
okay,
I've got to be prepared at 2:30. It's been a
Okay.
wonderful conversation because I think this is very apropos for the three of us.
yeah.
Yeah, I hope that Catherine, you're not leaving when he does, because there's
No,
something
I can stay. I can stay.
I need to say.
Okay, see you later. See you next week.
Okay, bye,
Yes.
Robert.
Bye. I'm getting something for the last couple weeks or so. And I was at the March on Washington. I was part of that. I lived in Baltimore at the time, and I heard Dr. Martin Luther King live and was part of that. And what's coming to me is another movement like that there's a movement that's with Kamala Harris. There's a movement that is happening, and I'm just so aware of becoming engaged in whatever this is that's emerging, and and putting it in poetic form of sharing.
Mhm.
And I just wanted to say that because it's stirring in me.
Well, look in your city and see what's available on weekends. You know, I don't know if you have a paper that has events in it, or if there is if the newspaper has a website that has events, or if there is a group that supports Santa Barbara and they'll have events. I mean, these are all things that are here in Spokane. So I would think Santa Barbara would have something like that. And look and see where you can plug in
Right.
for those kinds of things, where you can go and start making those connections so that people can help you do what you want to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's about a movement, a
Yeah.
social movement, just like the March on Washington was.
Mm-hmm.
for
Yep.
for um for what was it? March on Washington for jobs and something, I forget. Freedom, for jobs and freedom.
So
Uh,
did you see the convention?
oh my God, yes. Whoa, powerful. Oh,
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time for another movement,
Yeah.
like the March on Washington was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got hold of me. So just see where it goes. Thank you.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Thank you. And I'll be turning my attention to you on Monday.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And around 11 o'clock, did you say, or what?
Well, it's 11, 12, probably 1 o'clock for the surgery would be my guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to be there at 11, so which is better than the 6 o'clock that I thought I had to be at. Because I have to shower before I do it, and showering at 4 o'clock in the morning was not an exciting option.
Oh,
So I'm glad it's a little later. It's okay.
so they are gonna cut something, right?
Oh, yeah, yep,
Right. And
yep,
that would be around 1 o'clock or so
yeah, yeah,
Pacific time, or
yeah,
where?
Pacific time, yep.
All right, well, I'll be holding it.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Makes a big difference.
Yeah, it does. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, I had an experience when I had cancer. I told everybody when I was going to have the surgery, and I asked everybody to think of me at that time. And then the surgeon changed the time, and I couldn't tell anybody. But I was sitting at home at that time, and I felt this wave of love.
Oh.
So I know that that makes a difference.
Beautiful. Good. Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I'll be with you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for providing this forum and engaging in this exchange with me.
So now that you're in, go to make sure that you've RSVP'd to the other deep dives so that you'll get links. And now that you know that those links go to the Gmail address, you got to get into the Gmail address comfortably so that you can get those links.
I don't understand what you said.
Okay, so you're in the Coming Home Project, and
Okay.
you can see the menu on the left-hand side, and you got into the public events, and you saw the deep dive for today, and there's a whole bunch of deep dives below that too.
Right. I've watched a couple.
And yeah, well, you've watched the videos. That's a different place. These are events.
Okay. That have you.
So at the top, let's see, let me go there so I can see. Come on. Um, hmm. So do you want to do you know how to go from here to the Coming Home Project and not feel lost? Remember, Apple does layers. So if you take your cursor to the top of this black box that is Zoom and hold that cursor, you can move that black box. Can you do that?
Where are you telling me to go to do?
Go to the very top of your screen where it's black.
Okay.
See, and
Right.
there's a black box with both our pictures in it, right?
Well, I'm looking at both of us on mine.
Yeah, but we're in a black box.
Yes.
Yes. And if you click at the top of that black box and hold, you can move that screen. Can you see that? So you can move it back and forth and up and down. And when you do that, you're going to see things behind it.
Well, I see Zoom.us and meeting, view, edit, window, help, and a video thing and
Okay, well, that's at the very top of your home screen. But if you just do the Zoom screen, which is the black thing right under that, it's got 3 dots in it, the red, yellow, and green, that bar.
no, I don't have such a
Yeah,
bar.
you do. In the upper left-hand corner, you'll see 3 dots, red,
yeah,
yellow, and green.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that bar, grab that with your cursor
Oops, okay.
and move it back and forth. And you can move all of us. You can move both of us. Can you do that?
I've got that white band with the little 3 dots, and my cursor is on that big white.
Okay, and hold it down
I am.
and then move that cursor.
I am. It doesn't move it. It doesn't move anything.
I'm going
Now,
to share my screen.
oh, go ahead.
All right. So why can I not share what I'm seeing? That's interesting. So this is what I wanted to share with you, but
A call to heart.
well, no, so you're not seeing what I wanted you to see. It's not doing what I was hoping it was going to do. That's really interesting. So what you're seeing, I think, is an orange box right here, and then a blue box with
Yeah,
and then a thing over here that says 11:37 a.m., right? Which is not what I wanted you to see.
and now it's just you and me.
Yeah, that's what I wanted you to see, but I wanted you to see it from my perspective, not yours. And it's not doing that, which is kind of interesting. Oh, well. So you could see what I'm doing with it, but oh, we have a cat that's unhappy. I don't know why he's unhappy, but he's unhappy at 2 in the morning, and he's unhappy at 5 in the morning, and now he's unhappy. And he
Really?
yeah, it's really disturbing at night.
Well, I wonder what he's asking. Or
I don't know. He kind of wants to go outside, but then he's a scaredy cat. So he stands at the door and goes, well, yeah, no, don't want to do that. And then he walks around and yells.
he has his own problems.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
I guess we all do. Everybody needs a challenge in life.
There you go. Keeps you interested, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
keeps you on point. It's delightful to talk with you.
Oh, well, good. Thank you.
Yeah, because we go way outside the boundaries, into unexplored territory.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm kind of afraid
Yeah.
of aging,
Yeah. It sucks.
incapacity. Physically, I'm good, but it's like I'm kind of question my maturation when it comes to mental capacity.
So don't question so much as notice and deal with.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Don't question so much as notice and deal with. I have another friend, she was just on the phone, and I mean, she goes, oh, I can't think. Oh, I don't remember. Oh, she's very conscious of what she can't do. And guess what? She's able to do less and less.
Yeah, right, sure.
And I mean, that's kind of what I heard Robert alluding to, is it's how you think about it. You have to notice it. Yes, it's different. So what do you do about that instead of, oh my God, I can't. That's a whole different set of stuff.
I want to write poetry about it.
Yeah, well, do that.
I
Yes.
do. I want to write poetry about it.
Yeah, do that. Absolutely.
All right, I will.
Yeah.
I need to. I
Yeah.
want to. It it could be a gift.
It is a gift.
It is
Yes.
a gift to the world,
Yeah.
to whoever. All right. I'm
Yeah.
charging up a little bit here. Getting fire lit. Okay, and maybe I can try it out on you at your convenience sometime.
Absolutely. And in fact, if you're in the Coming Home Project, there is a thing called Awakening Heart. And it's on the 27th of every month. And it's all about poetry. Nobody ever comes.
Oh,
So if you want to come, let me know because I've gotten out of habit of going myself. But the whole point of it was to share poetry with people. And I would bring things and read them, but I would love to have other people bring things and read. It would be a way also of recording what you're doing and sharing it. So
good.
yeah, I mean, if you want to even take hold of that and own it, and that is your space, and then you can let people know that it's there. We have 125 people, I think, that are members. So you can send messages to them, set up a time and yeah, and if you need help on doing any of that, I can help you.
Yeah, I've thought about that some.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's there, you can use it.
okay. Well, I'll be writing. I'll be expressing. Okay, I'll take it forward, step by step.
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, because I need to express it poetically. It's my act of love. for the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you and bless you. And
Welcome.
I'll be with you Monday.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye.
Bye.